podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Tactics Show. We haven't been on for a couple of weeks with Dharnish and Daniel, as always. How is it going, chaps?
Not bad. It's going.
It's going. Very good. All right. Well, no game this week because United lost in the FA Cup. Twat. So we will... I don't know about you. I didn't watch any of it. I decided not to. I'm boycotting the FA Cup this year.
I don't think anybody did.
I was kind of sulking as well, yeah.
I watched a bit of Napoli and Roma and some other game. I can't remember which one.
I watched the penalties in Leeds, Birmingham and Leeds.
Great.
Yeah.
So, sounds like we all had great weekends. I watched Napoli Roma as well. It's interesting and mad how much slower Serie A has actually become.
Very much, yeah.
2 years ago it wasn't like this, but
I mean, it's like anyone who gives you aggravation, you see it a lot. United made a mistake selling McTominay. And I would happily have kept McTominay because I like him. Like, I think he's got good attitude and all the rest of it, can see what he does well. But him going to Serie A and doing what he's done does not mean that was about to happen in the Premier League.
No, he didn't play at the weekend. I guess he's injured, right? He wasn't in the squad at all.
yeah.
It looks like he's signing a new contract. I think it's good for him. Like, it suits him. Conte suits him. Conte's probably not staying, but Serie A suits him as well. He can be that sort of third midfielder, box crashing. That's what he does well. Good for him. All right, we're going to talk about Michael Carrick and United. Start with West Ham. We are a week past that one. Think about what we've learned so far in the 5 games, about what Carrick ball's all around about. I know we said we wouldn't call it Carrick ball, but no one's come up with another name for it yet.
Does it have to have one?
It doesn't have to have one. Let's be even more wanky. Let's talk about Michael Carrick's game model.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened against West Ham, Dharnish? Was it this thing about Carrick not being able to set his team up to break a low block? Or were we tired? Was it both? Was it something else?
I don't think it was him necessarily not knowing how to break down a low block. I think it was one of the best defensive managers or one of the best pragmatists in the league, knowing exactly how to frustrate teams. Nuno's done this for years. It was United had to deal with a 4-1 in midfield. So every time they would fizz it into Matheus Cunha or Fernandes and they found themselves on the ball, they would go back because they were scared of losing it. The other thing as well is against West Ham, whenever they had it in a dangerous or attacking area, it isn't just a park the bus. It isn't just 10 men behind the ball. It's very much they were pulling at them and they were tugging at them and they were nipping at their heels and they were pressing them, which meant that they just, again, went backwards. The defence is Martinez and Maguire because they know how to nip balls progressively into the middle of the pitch. We didn't have as much width as we normally would because Luke Shaw is in the positions where I keep yelling at the screen saying, Luke, go, Luke, go, Luke, go. But I think we spoke about it after the game because his fitness levels have disintegrated in the last few years. He just doesn't do that anymore. But to conclude, basically, they limited space for us in the middle of the pitch because whenever Cunha or Fernandes dropped, somebody would drop with them and press them. That means that the other player who isn't Cunha is Mbeumo. He was dropping deeper as well. And it's great that he was dropping deeper to try and get the ball from defence into attack, but it means you lose an extra attacker in strike.
I think we see people saying United don't know how to break down a low block or Carrick's team struggle against the low block. Maybe they do, but who doesn't? We're seeing it repeatedly in football now that a well-organised low block by a team that isn't necessarily even in your division is difficult to break down. Look at the team in the top of the league, Arsenal. They struggle breaking down low blocks, which is one of the reasons they've got so good at set pieces. That said, I thought we could have done a better job of getting into West Ham. I felt like, in retrospect, it was an error of not starting Sesko, because what you get when you've got a centre forward is you've got a box presence the whole time. You've got someone who knows how to sniff out chances, and you've also got the possibility of him scoring a goal like the one that he did. But more than that, it's a bit more chaotic. You're trying to create chaos in there, and sometimes that needs a big lad or at least a centre forward. And then I thought he should have brought Sesko on much earlier. In fairness, I actually also thought he should have taken off Mbeumo and kept Cunha on. And I tell you, the reason why I think that is because against a low block, I feel like the magic required to break it down, sometimes you're more likely to get from Cunha than Mbumo. But I mean, I know Mbumo was involved in the goal, so that one worked out okay. Then the other thing I think is that there are two players in the team that are really good in beating men in small spaces, Ahmad and Mainu. And we didn't get either of them on the ball in the kinds of positions where they're able to perpetrate that kind of wizardry. So Mainu was quite deep, but I wanted to see him on the edge of the box where he can score the kind of goals he scored against Wolves and against Liverpool, where he just escapes several men and is a good finisher too. And it felt like it wasn't him that was on the ball in those situations. And I also kind of wondered if Bruno was a little bit too far forward in this one. He would have actually been better also on the edge, looking to pick passes through. So on the one hand, West Ham's low block was good. They defended well. And lots of teams would have had trouble doing that same thing. Some teams probably even that are better than United. But on the other hand, I felt like we could have done more. And it was one of those matches where it would have been helpful if Dorgu was fit, but also really, really show why we need fullbacks.
Yes, absolutely. The width wasn't there in the team, and certainly not from the fullback areas. I agree with the Sesko point. Reference forward would have helped. We had three players in the same zone, really, with Cunha and Bruno and Mbumo all sort of floating in that sort of half space 9.5 type area.
It's just a variety, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't quite work. But there's a lesson. There aren't actually that many teams we're going to face this season that will be that organised in a low block.
I think the thing also with Sesko is, I know that the way that Carrick likes to play often often doesn't include like a proper centre forward. You couldn't be anything else. But at the same time, it also feels like you've got a bunch of players. You've got Bruno and Mbumo, Cunha, and you also had Dorgu, but now we've got an Ahmad, right? It feels like if you're picking a name to leave out, the one that will cause the least aggravation is Sesko, because it's taken him a while to get going. He's in his first season. He's younger. So he's not going to be banging on your door saying, why have I been left out? The press aren't really going to be saying it either. Whereas if you're leaving out Cunha or Mbumo, because realistically it is one of them too, that kind of is going to attract more attention, be more controversial. And so Sesko's the easier one to leave out. But we're getting to a point where that's not the case.
Well, that's true, because he scored quite a few goals. I mean, if you're just looking at productivity, it might be Ahmad that you'd leave out, because for all his brilliance, he actually hasn't scored a lot or created a lot of goals so far this season. We can do some rotation. I just do wonder whether the mistake was not having that reference forward against West Ham,
who aren't good defending crosses either.
True. So looking back over the whole 5 games, what have we learned about what Carrick's about? I mean, it's in a sense that the Arsenal City games were like one-offs, weren't they? They were kind of cup games where they had special systems to counter. The Fulham game was a real challenge because they're a good side. And Spurs. They finally sacked Frank, which was always coming. Can we have just a little diversion into how fucking mad that club is? So they appoint Frank. What were they expecting? Were they expecting him to change his style of football to suit what Spurs fans think they should be playing?
Possibly.
And then they've appointed Igor Tudor, which I don't know whether you've ever seen any of his sides.
He's batshit crazy. Or
I don't think they're going to like that either.
And they just fired Johnny Heitinger, who was there for about 10 days or something.
That's right. They brought in 2 coaches, didn't they? And who had like a month at the club, and they fired them all. I mean, nice work if you can get it. I presume they're paying out their contracts. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think it's going to work out well for them. They've probably got enough points that they're not going down, but I would be really shocked if they get some kind of big bounce from this. But anyway, back to the question. So what we learned, what are the main sort of pillars over these 5 games of what Carrick brings? Have we learned, should he be given the job right now? Should we be signing that contract, putting the phone down on Julian Nagelsmann?
I would say if it wasn't Nagelsmann, then just give it to him. Tuchel has signed a contract. I think Ancelotti as well. Don't think I wanted Ancelotti anyway.
Ancelotti's enjoying himself at Carnival this week.
Having beer and kissing Brazilian women.
Yep.
Raising his eyebrow.
And I would say that even if Tuchel was available and wanted the United job, I still wouldn't have gone there either. De Zerbi is
Twat.
Maybe he'll go to Tottenham, but he's far too
Twat,
he's
yeah.
far too explosive. Even if you want to talk about his brand of football, and it's very good.
I don't like his football either. I hate that baiting. That baiting the press. Very bad for my ADHD. I'm like, fucking yeah!
It's not quite like that at Marseille. They are a bit more fluid.
No, they're a little bit more fluid. But I would say that it has to be Carrick because, and this really annoyed me at the time, because most of what the ex-pundits are saying now is annoying me, is because I think Roy Keane was like, why on earth have they given the job to Carrick? I was like, that guy knows those players inside out. That matters hugely. He was assistant under Ole. He was the permanent manager for 4 games. He had still worked under the club for a very long time. He knows what the club is like in the last 4 or 5, 6 years, whatever it's been. He knows those players inside out. The game model has been very much so. I remember someone saying it's very, very difficult to change formation and tactics during a football season. For any manager, that's why none of them do it. They were one of the most rigid sides under Amrin previously. They absolutely were. This was 3-4-3, 5-3-2. We knew exactly what we were going to see. Pass it side to side. We faced multiple low blocks this season. It never felt like they found space and they know what to do, even though there's been tweaks. We've seen lots of changes under Carrick. Kobe Mainoo is playing every single game. Bruno Fernandes is in his best position. Maguire and Martinez are the best centre-back pair. Casemiro's rejuvenated under him. It's been 4-2-3-1. We've seen a multiple amount of different changes, but what I would like to say is that I really like the rondos, and I really, really love to watch Man United play this season now. We're probably the best attacking team in the league. It's this proximity of having players really close to one another. So before, under Amram, if they got the ball on the side, it would be, oh, we're trapped in one zone, everybody's coming, just go long. Now it's we're trapped in one side, but because there's 3 or 4 of us in one position, quickly pass the ball to each other, get out of it in tight spaces and switch. We did that against Arsenal. There were multiple times where they were like, wait, hold on, they're playing. This is how they play now. And they didn't really know how to mark it against us.
Yeah.
I agree that the proximity of players to each other is a massive difference. And this has been a problem even in the Fergie years. It was one of the biggest differences in that game against City. Was it May 2012 that we lose the league? It looked like City were playing Sabutio and United were playing table football. Just the players on lines, miles from each other, and they couldn't get any movements going. And now the way that you break teams down is you can obviously go around the sides, but another way of doing it is interchanges. And that's always sort of been the United way, is playing along the diagonals, runs off the ball, but players in close proximity. So step overs, flicks, that kind of thing will all work. And one of my criticisms of the early Carrick games a little bit is that sometimes you see them playing passes that it's like they kind of think, well, this is almost on. It would be nice if it was on. But I want to generally encourage that kind of risk-taking where they're looking to play 1-2s, to step overs, players moving, and that's very difficult to defend against, and it enables you to build through the middle rather than just trying to get it wide, put crosses in and hope that something happens. And they look like a modern football team, but they also look quite different to a lot of the other teams that we're watching. And they don't really feel like most of the other teams are playing like that. We're not seeing those kind of rondos that we're seeing from United in quite the same way.
I don't know whether we've got a big enough sample set to make some really big conclusions about the kind of style of football. The examples of the rondos and interchanges and the fluidity are all great, but I mean in terms of like data sets and how we compare to other teams, which, you know, the Premier League has gone quite direct this season. Look at City, and it's incredible how fast the build-ups are, how few passes there are in build-ups compared to the most possession-heavy City side. So I suspect United are keeping possession pretty well. We had low possession amounts in City and Arsenal that will skew the data over 5 games, of course. Over the next, how many have we got left? 13?
13 games.
I would imagine that United will keep possession pretty well. And then the question that I guess I asked at the top of the show is, can United break down teams that want to sit deep? We'll certainly get that opportunity to find out against Everton. Can they come up with something different? I mean, Everton at home, maybe they'll come out a bit more. And they're playing pretty well this season, actually, for historic Everton, who've been struggling, fighting against relegation for most of the last 20 years or something like that. So that'll be a challenge. But a lot of United's games coming up are against teams that are front foot teams that will not be defending quite in the way that West Ham did, and will allow United's better creative players the space that they really, really enjoy.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Yeah. The other thing I want to point out as well is obviously we'll learn a lot more about whether we can actually break down low blocks in these next 12 games or so. The spine of the team is built now to be front foot. Everything has to be progressive. Everything has to be forward.
True.
But Martinez, Maguire, my new compliment in Casemiro, and then Fernandes ahead of him. That didn't feel like it was there under Amorim. And you can see it as well. I know they didn't break down West Ham as much as they would have liked, but even then the football was still quick in the first half. It was still very much put pace on the pass and move in the right directions. And I feel as though under Carrick, the best teams in the world, they create rotations themselves when they get to know each other better and when they get confidence in one another's football. And that's happening that happened against West Ham. You saw Casemiro was going up front, or Diallo was coming in from the wing and moving into central midfield. It basically means that, I'm going to go there to manipulate the opposition and somebody else will take my place just because of how happy I am in this system. So I think he's given him a lot of confidence and everything is front foot forward. I think that there's enough in this team, there's enough depth and options now to break down low blocks. And he's the manager to make changes to do that as well. Amorim was always 15 minutes left, centre back. With this, it's, no, I don't care, I'll throw 2 forwards on. It's paid off.
Yeah, can risks. Yeah, that's a Fergie trait, right?
Something else that is worth noting that we saw against West Ham is that Euro comes on for Maguire and pretty much keeps us in the game by single-handedly stopping 2 counters in ways that actually reminds me a bit of Laurent Blanc, where he sort of stays almost halfway between the men for as long as possible. So any pass, if you go along the ground, he's going to cut it out, and he stays at a point where you've really got to get some elevation on it before he dashes over to snuff it out. But what I would say about Euro is that, and I read in one of these articles, maybe it was, I can't remember where it was, Athletic maybe, that they'd been working, Evans and our mate John have been working on him in terms of defending situations where you might be 1 against 2. And I always think back to when Fergie signing up Stam, and one of the reasons he said he was signing up Stam was because he could defend 1-on-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to be a proper team that dominates games, you need to be able to trust your defenders 1-on-1. And if Euro is ready or takes Maguire's place at some point, it gives you pace on the cover for Martinez. It means your line can go further forward as well. You can condense the play more.
Yeah.
And that feels like one of the next big steps forward this team could take is getting a quicker centre-back next to Martinez. And I think Heaven's passing is maybe a little bit better than Euro's, but what Euro gives you is the right-footedness, the longer legs.
And the pace, yeah.
It felt like that's a way that we can take this on from where it is now. I agree with Dharnish in a sense with some of the passing. I felt like in the second half, there was too many occasions where Martinez had the ball and he's just kind of looking because no one will do anything. And I felt like we needed some more movement, some more rotations, particularly in the second half. But what Dharnish was saying about Casemiro, I think that feels like they've changed just a little bit. That often it's Casemiro who's getting closer to the box now and Manu staying a bit deeper.
Certainly in build-up, that's true.
Casemiro is also quite good in that kind of situation.
Yeah, Manu's been taking the ball off the centre-backs And that makes a lot of sense in build-up. I guess, the fact that there's not tons of pace in the centre of the midfield there will necessarily mean they have to be careful, like both in their rest defence and on transitions, that they don't end up with an Amorim or Ten Hag-shaped donut. They don't seem to have done that with Carrick. They're keeping them close together. We haven't seen that big empty space in midfield where everyone gets behind us all of the time and the opposition manager and players are bragging about it and all of that. Sickener. Dharnish, how will United approach the game against Everton, where Moyes' teams are very compact, they do defend well, they do play some longer balls, they like a cross.
Yeah.
Traditionally reasonably good at set pieces and so on and so on.
In the same way, not that you hope that Everton don't press them as much as West Ham do, but I would say approach it in the same way. Create more rotations, create more bafflement for the opposition. So maybe maybe start Šeško. Maybe you could start Šeško, I would say. Maybe have the fullbacks bomb forward a lot more. If that's not Shaw, and then maybe you can switch it around and change wings and bring another player in there. But I would say in the same way, try and rotate the centre of the pitch more. Try and drop Cunha a lot more and push Bruno forward. Try and make sure that Mbeumo stays on the last line of the defence, because I thought that was a big thing. Michael Keane and Tarkowski make a lot of fouls, so I'd rather have them making fouls up the pitch rather than closer to it. So try and have one of Mbeumo and Cunha on the last line in the attacking line. Keep one of Cunha and Fernandes dropping. But as they get it, be a little bit more risky with your passing as well. Times against West Ham, because I think they knew what they were up against. They just weren't as risky as they were before.
Yeah.
So keep that same confidence, keep the depth, keep the faith that you have enough options and solutions into your team where even if it gets to the 75th minute, you can still win the game.
Yeah, Everton, obviously Grealish is out for the rest of the season. I think he was performing fairly well. They brought in Tyreek George from Chelsea on loan to play that sort of left-hand side. I don't know whether Barry is... How many has he got this season? Not that many.
Not that many, maybe 5. I think Casemiro scored the same amount as him.
When I've seen him, he looks more impressive than his records.
Yeah.
And they've obviously had a pretty good midfield with Gay and James Garner. Both had decent seasons there. A lot of defenders at the back, as you said, do the basics. Keane, Tarkowski, Branthwaite. We don't seem to be talking about Branthwaite. Remember the time we wanted to buy him?
For 200 million.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's always 200 million when United are in town for a player. And Dye has had a good season as well. He's an interesting one. Likes to dribble, carries the ball really well, goal-scoring threat.
I would say that maybe this is wrong, but West Ham have more of a threat on the counter than what Everton do.
They've got some pace in those wide areas,
especially with Grealish not in. So you can push the ball out a little bit more, I would say. Although I know they did play a perfect game against Amorim and they nullified us completely, even with 10 men. I would still say stick with the game model.
Yeah, we managed to nullify ourselves in that game. Looking a bit further forward then, is Hair Guy going to get his 5 wins starting against Everton? We've got Everton, Palace at home, Newcastle away, Villa at home, and then Bournemouth away. It's a mixed bag there. Newcastle blow hot and cold. Palace having a really dreadful season. Glasner's going. They have spent money very weirdly, having sold all their best players. Well, they're definitely not as good as they've been. They're having a hard season for sure, though, now in a relegation scrap. Newcastle at Newcastle, midweek game there. I don't know what to make of Newcastle this season. Eddie Howe, I presume, is going to leave in the summer because they just haven't progressed in the way that I presume the ownership want.
I just think St. James's Park is always just a really tough game. Especially now, I think Jimenez is back. I assume Joe Wellington will be back, but I don't... Like you said, they're really hot and cold. They lost to Brentford, which from behind they were winning 1 or 2-0, and then beat Tottenham and then beat Villa, I believe. But that's like... Those 3 results could categorise what it's like to be Newcastle's Eddie Howe right now. You can have probably the same amount of results. But I would say out of those fixtures, I know Villa's a tough one as well, but for some reason he always seems to crap it away at Old Trafford. Unai Emery, for some reason, even under Ten Hag, he used to get out-fought and out-tacticised, as Big Sam would say.
Very interesting side Villa, aren't they? Because they're massively outperforming their underlying data, although they're massively overperforming on long shots. Lots and lots of long shots, and they score lots of goals from it. That's part of the reason why, because you get very low XG from that, part of the reason why they're overperforming their data. But they're consistently doing it. They did it last season, so it's not an anomaly. But yeah, they're tough side, lots of good players. And then Bournemouth, Iraola presumably will leave because he's looking for a bigger job now. They managed to sell players and be stable, which is a remarkable, really, for a club with a 12,000 seater capacity ground.
I mean, Villa, they have so many central midfield injuries. McGinn's out, Cameron's out for the season, Tielemans is out. That's a big part of your industry in midfield gone.
Yeah.
They had to run around and do a supermarket sweep in January just to try and make it up for it. Douglas Luiz is back as well. So, but I would say that if they still don't have the same numbers as they do when they're back, I mean, look at look at who started against Newcastle: Tammy Abraham, Ross Barkley, Douglas Luiz, and Amadou Onana. Not to say that they're not good. They're normally what Emery would bring on, not what he would want to start with. So if you can take 3 points against Villa, kind of try and negotiate the away game to Newcastle as well as you can, and then pick up some more points against Palace at home, maybe against Leeds as well. Then we can see. Well, forget about him cutting his hair once; he'll cut his hair twice.
Let's round out this show by thinking about the long-term future. Obviously, United they've bought themselves time to find the right kind of manager. The managerial situation has changed quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, as we mentioned. Tuchel signed a new contract. Ancelotti looks like he will. They're both off the table now. If you look down the list, there's the 3 Premier League ones with Glasner, Iraola and Marco Silva all out of contract. I don't know any of them would really excite United fans that much, certainly not Glasner. Iraola's massive risk. That game model is built for a club like Bournemouth. He'd have to change. Do we know that he does want to? Nagelsmann is contracted through till 2028. If Germany have a bad World Cup, maybe he leaves. If they have a good World Cup, why would he want to go?
Yeah.
Enrique, we don't know what's happening with him at Paris Saint-Germain. They offered him a lifetime contract. He seems like he wants to leave, as he's never shown any interest in joining United. They sounded him out before. I mean, it could almost mean we get to the point of Carrick is like the obvious choice, even though he's had 5 games, so I'm not getting carried away by default. What do we think about where we want to go tactically with this squad of players, assuming an evolution in midfield?
Yeah.
We'll buy 2 or 3 midfielders in the summer, but what's the rest of the squad? What kind of game do we think we want to play with this? Like learning the lesson of Amorim, right? Don't force a manager on a squad that doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, largely what we've seen in the last 5 games is what I would like to think we're going to see for the next 12. I don't think there's going to be much changes there. I would like for this team to continue playing freely, expressively with the way it is, because it's a team that is built or was built in the summer to be like, we can outscore teams, right? You got a fresh new attack. This isn't a 5-4-1 mid to low block team that is supposed to hold the lead. Even though they did that under Amorim, it's a team where it's like, no, we'll score 2, 3. And that's exactly what they're doing under Carrick. I would like for them to keep the same tactics. And then in the summer, yes, people have said, get some more midfielders. But in the summer, I think it's going to be more, can we replace a Casemiro-shaped hole first? And then it's going to be everything else.
Yeah, it's a real difficult one, yeah. Replace Casemiro, presumably sell Ugarte and bring in one other, maybe younger midfielder. There's still only 3. Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro replacement, Ugarte replacement, probably need another one. Question is whether that's from the youth team or purchased from outside. And then, as Daniel mentioned earlier, fullbacks.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, Dalot doesn't have the creative, he's got the engine, but not the creative output. And Shaw no longer has the engine to get up and down. I think that's fairly clear now, isn't it? Unfortunately, actually don't know whether he's got another year on his contract beyond this. I think he does.
Does he?
I feel like he's contracted to 2027, but he's doing so long at the club that you could let him go on a free if someone decided they'd rather do that, or you slowly integrate Dorgu into the left-back position and Shaw because he definitely does have the engine. And apparently now he's found an ability to create something in those forward positions, which he definitely didn't have at the beginning of the season. So yeah, the squad evolution, but I think we just learned the lesson of not hiring the next manager who forces some system on the players that just doesn't work for them. That's got to be a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And get the best out of what, because we don't need another centre-back, probably. We probably do need another full-back, maybe 2. We definitely need 2, maybe 3 midfielders, and we've got a lot of forwards. Probably don't need another forward.
No, there's 4, I think.
There's an Ahmad Mbumo, Cunha, Sesko, Xerxes may leave, Chido Obi waiting in the wings, we'll see, and Shea Lacey, obviously we've seen some of him. That's quite a lot of similar looking forwards, of course.
Yeah.
They might want a pure left-sided one, but that would probably take Xerxes and maybe even Mount leaving as well.
We can see where the weaknesses are, go and address them in the summer.
I think we've learned a lot about Carrick over these 5 games. He's adaptable. He came up with special systems for the Arsenal game and the City game. The team found a way to win against Fulham, probably the worst performance of the lot. They were good against Spurs, good enough against Spurs, and it was a challenging game against West Ham. And they sat in the low block, but they also marked. And I think it's part of the reason why in a lot of that game, it felt like Martinez was waiting on the ball, waiting for someone to move, but they were all man-marked, right?
Yeah.
Challenging games coming up. Everton will be a tough one. So will Newcastle away, and those Villa and Bournemouth games and Palace games at home. You hope to pick up a lot of points. So there you go. And then Carrick can sign that 10-year contract, maybe 20.
25, I think. 25 years.
25, is it? Yeah, that's right. Take out a mortgage on Michael Carrick. Yeah, very good. Well, all right. This is looking back on what we've seen so far. I think there's a lot of positives. Some questions, of course. Will United's global fan base freak out if we lose a game? Probably, right? Probably.
Always does.
Always does. Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen at some point.
It's been overwhelmingly successful, though. I can't really say anything. 4 wins out of 5.
Yeah.
Against City, against Arsenal.
It doesn't mean we win every game from here, but it's been momentum's really important, and we've got a lot of momentum. And even against West Ham, where it's difficult, we scored a last-minute equaliser, and that, as the cliche goes, feels like a win, does it not?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, that's the Tactics Show. Daniel had to leave a little bit early. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Dharnish. We'll be with you again after the Everton game, which is still a week away.
Yeah, feels like a long time without proper football.
Well, the women's team won 7th game in a row, beat London City Lionesses, so you can catch them. They have a second leg against Atletico Madrid coming up, a very handsome win in the first leg, so looks like they're through. They'll be playing Bayern Munich in the next round, which is a real tough one. You can always check out the under-21s. A very good victory against City. Was that the under-18s or 21s? I forget now.
Don't remember.
It was one of them. There were some young kids. Jim Thwaite scored a banger of a free kick. There's some good players in there as well. All right. Thanks, Dharnish. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What is natural? When you read natural flavors on a label, most people don't realize it's often not real food at all. Those hidden ingredients quietly work against how your body feels and functions over time. That's why Just Ingredients uses only real food ingredients, so you know exactly what you're putting in your body. Stop guessing. Start knowing at justingredients.us.